Hey there, Fletch from All Things Overlanding here, and welcome to Season 4 of All Things Overlanding. I am super excited today to kind of tell you guys a little bit about what's coming this year because there's a ton of super cool stuff. Some of you may know I got a new Frontier that's really built up, armored, Titan swapped, tons of cool stuff on it. So I'm going to talk about what's coming regarding that build. And then in addition, I've got a secret new build that is I'm just now going to be releasing for the first time on the channel. You're going to hear about it here first. So get ready for that as well. And I think you're going to like it. It's not what you're expecting at all. It's totally different. So I'm going to talk about that as well. And then just kind of like the podcast and all the other stuff that's coming this year. Tons of awesome expos, tons of awesome trips. And I've just got a ton of new content coming. So if you want to learn more about what's coming this year, stay tuned. All Things Overlanding is brought to you by some fantastic companies. You should definitely check out the description and click through their links to see all the awesome stuff they offer. Companies like Red Arc for all your overlanding power management needs. Last US Bag, tons of amazing quality overlanding bags. Rugged Bound Supply Company, rooftop tents, awnings, roof racks, and more. And Northology Overland, guided overlanding trips and a free overlanding magazine. Alright guys, so as I mentioned, today's episode is kind of going to be a what is to come for 2022 for All Things Overlanding. So again, those of you that have been with me for a while, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I love, talking to you guys in the comments on social media, on YouTube, through DMs and all that sort of stuff. Keep them coming. I love chatting with you guys. So anyways, let's get into the first thing, which is the Frontier, right? So I just picked this up. I actually picked it up around the middle of September. Unfortunately, there was an issue with the engine. There was a kind of a weird metallic knocking rotational noise happening. And it was kind of a hassle to get it fixed. We finally got it to a point where, luckily I had some buddies help. Cody from Wannabe Overland and his buddy Cody, everybody's named Cody apparently, were gracious enough to come up and sort of help me basically rebuild the whole motor. The timing chain was bad in it. It had sheared all the teeth off the water pump. Looked like there was a bolt that was loose in the install of that when that got corrected. So unfortunately that happened, but you know what? It's good as new now. For a 211,000 mile motor, it runs really well now. Starting to clean everything up. Had to replace the spark plugs, had to replace the O2 sensors because all that stuff got fouled out when it was running poorly. But now it's got an upgraded alternator. It's got a new starter. So I mean, it really feels like a great truck now, super solid, and I'm excited to take it on some trips. Now that it's running and I'm driving it every day, I'm starting to see, holes in my setup. I'm starting to realize that I need to figure out a way to mount my fridge. I like that it has a back seat. I like that I can throw the kids in there, but I'm kind of thinking about my setup. I'm trying to decide how much needs to go in the bed. I really like the deck system that's in there. But so tons and tons of do-it-yourself modifications coming this year. I've got to modify the do-it-yourself unistrut roof rack. I'm going to try and lift it up a little bit and move it forward towards the cab because it sticks off the back. So I mean, there's just going to be so much stuff coming. I've already got videos together, and some of them may have dropped by now, of how to replace the rear speakers in a Frontier. So I'm going to try and do more how-to stuff this year. I'm constantly doing upgrades and changes to the truck and adding things and taking things out. I'm modifying things. And in the past, because it is a lot of work to make a how-to video, you got to kind of think about step by step. You've got to explain it. You've got to tell people what you're doing, and then you've got to record it and shoot B-roll and other video, of like what you're doing and where the bolts are and that sort of thing. But I'm putting more effort into that this year because I feel like it's really helpful. And again, my goal with this channel is to get you guys good information that's going to help you make your life easier, save you money, save you time. That's kind of my goal with the channel. So more how-to stuff, more DIY stuff coming this year, lots of exciting projects. If you're a Frontier or Xterra or Pathfinder, R51 Pathfinder person, all this stuff's pretty interchangeable. So I feel like if you've been with me for a while and you missed the Xterra, don't feel bad because the Frontier is extremely similar, and there will definitely be some stuff coming that can apply to any of the Nissan vehicles with a 4-liter, right? So that is kind of part one. That's kind of the main thing that I'm excited about this year. In addition to that, I'm trying to take as many trips as possible. I'm kind of teaming up with Cody, the gentleman that I mentioned earlier from Wannabe Overland. He has sort of started his own business where he takes people on like overlanding trips. So I'm going to try really hard this year to get at least one, maybe two events together for like subscribers, listeners. Trying to grow the Patreon page quite a bit because that's really cool. There's a lot of, super like weekend warrior type folks over there. So kind of my goal is to get to 25 patrons on Patreon. And when I do that, I'm going to offer up a Patreon subscriber get together, and I want to do that at least once, maybe twice a year, like I said. So that's something that is definitely coming as well. So I'd love to get out and meet some of you guys in person. I'd love to work with you guys to kind of decide where we want to go, and then pick a national forest and kind of as many of us as possible meet up there. So that'll be coming as well. Also, there's going to be a lot of really awesome expos. Core is in September this year. They also, though, recently announced they're going to do like a summer type of event. So I'm super psyched about that. I can't wait to hear more information about that. But there, right there, is 2 expos that I can go to. That'll be really awesome. I'm not sure if I can make Big Iron this year, but I'm definitely going to be at More Expo. I need to see what the dates are for Big Iron. I'd love to make that one too because it seems super cool. But so definitely More Expo I'll be at. And then hopefully when I'm at More, I would love to meet up with the Grants from Arkansas Off-Road, Chad from Overland Addict, Matt McClellan from Ozark Overland Adventures, and see if I could get into the Ozarks with everybody, because that just sounds awesome too. But so those will be the more gnarly sort of hard trails. That's kind of the stuff that I want to do with the Frontier. But the other cool thing, and again, I'm announcing it here first, is I got rid of the Infiniti. The Infiniti is gone. It is no longer in my garage. And the reason for that was a couple-fold. One, I don't drive it very much. I'm very OCD about that. My truck is dirty all the time, but my car I keep very clean. I keep it in the garage. It's on a battery tender. I babied it. I've had it for 3 years, almost 3 years now, and it barely had 15,000 miles on it from the mileage that it had when I first picked it up. So I'm putting like 5,000 miles a year on it. I love the car, but it wasn't particularly fast. It wasn't really a sports car. It was still a sedan. So I bought it because I wanted something that was sportier than the truck. But then again, I'm so OCD about it, and it wasn't really that fast, wasn't really very practical. It didn't really serve a purpose, right? So it was just kind of sitting in the garage all the time, and I kind of felt dumb for having that car sitting there. Now, I didn't know anything on it. I didn't have any payments. I had paid it off a year or two ago. So that was kind of what spawned this whole thing. I threw it into Carvana the other day just to see, about a week ago. Well, by the time you guys are seeing this, 2 or 3 weeks ago. I had thrown it into Carvana and found out that it was worth just a few $1,000s less than I paid for it 3 years ago. And so that kind of got my gears, going a little bit. And I started looking at all kinds of stuff. I was looking at crazy stuff like Audis and BMWs. And no offense if you like those cars, I just think they're not very reliable. And most of the ones I was looking at with the used market right now were had pretty high mileage on them. And I was like, yeah, an M5 would be cool until something breaks and it costs 10 grand to get it fixed, right? So looking at crazy stuff like that, looking at Lexus SUVs, looking at, brand new Nissan Frontiers, which I really like. But I mean, really for a Pro 4X, you're talking 40-ish grand. I mean, that's a lot of money, right? And I was like, it also is kind of redundant because I already have a Frontier, and the Frontier that I have is already built and very capable. So why would I buy another one? Then I'd want to take the newer one, but it wouldn't be as capable as the old one, right? So I know a lot of you are probably thinking that's where I was going, was that I got a new Frontier, but it is not. So what I did was, again, I got rid of the Infiniti, I traded it, and I ordered one of the brand new 2022 Ford Mavericks. So don't hate me. Before you go anywhere with this or start to pass any judgment, let me explain. So I bought a 2.0T XLT trim FX4 package with the luxury package Maverick, all-wheel drive. And there's a couple reasons here, right? So again, one, I never drove the Infiniti. It wasn't very practical. Couldn't really do anything with it. And it just kind of sat in the garage. It was lowered. Couldn't do anything. The Maverick is a great daily driver. With that 2.0T, it gets like mid-20s average for gas mileage. So compared to my Frontier, it's probably a little more than twice the gas mileage that the Frontier gets. So gas mileage goes up. It's a 4-door, so it's got room for 5. So I can actually throw the family in it, have plenty of room for everybody. It's a practical truck versus my big lifted Frontier, especially if I put a fridge in the back seat or have gear in there and stuff. I'm constantly pulling stuff out to make room for kids to take them to a soccer game, for example. But with the Maverick, I'm going to kind of have it dedicated as like a family vehicle. Also, I bought it with FX4 package because it comes a little bit taller with a little bit bigger, more aggressive tires on it. It's never going to compete with the Frontier from like a gnarly trails standpoint, right? The Frontier will be the dedicated trail rig. But if you saw that episode, and if not, I'll put a card up here to it, where I took my wife's Pilot to Hoosier National Forest. I mean, that thing got like 23 miles to the gallon on the way down there. It has CarPlay. It was super comfortable. It did just fine. I mean, gravel roads and stuff, it's fine. So a lot of folks, I feel like also, from a channel perspective, from a content perspective that would be beneficial for you guys, I feel like there are a ton of soft-roaders out there, right? Folks with Subarus, folks with stock Escapes, stock Ford Rangers, like that kind of stuff that are wanting to get out and do it without necessarily having to fully build a trail rig and maybe sacrifice some of the reliability or the creature comforts that they've got in their vehicles to go overlanding more. My plan with the Maverick is to do a really light sort of build, maybe a small lift and some slightly bigger tires just to get a little bit more clearance, and that's about it. I'm not planning to set it up with a rooftop tent and a rack and all that kind of stuff either, because I want to be able to use the bed for picking up lumber, picking up mulch, doing stuff with the truck and actually using it as a truck. So what I'm more kind of thinking about that is a lot of do-it-yourself stuff. They did a really good job, Ford did, with the bed design, having a lot of cool ways that you can sort of like fabricate things and custom make things out of wood for the bed. So I've got some ideas around how I could turn the bed into like sort of a fold out flat platform that then I could put like a sleeping bag and stuff on and use like a tarp to turn the back of the bed into sort of a sleeping platform. Lots of ideas there. Not 100% in concrete. It's going to be about 3 or 4 months, it sounds like, according to the Ford dealership where I ordered it, before that car is going to be produced and then to me. But super excited because everybody's getting Broncos, and Broncos are cool. But again, the Bronco competes with the Frontier. I didn't want that. I wanted something that was a little bit more reasonable, something that a lot of people I feel like would use. And again, with that gas mileage and those features that are on this truck, I can't wait to show you guys what this thing's like and how capable it is for what it is. And the price point on it too. You can get a base model two-wheel drive hybrid. They come by default as a hybrid if you're not familiar with these trucks, and they get about 42 miles to the gallon in the city. So super amazing practical truck, right? But you could get them for about 20 grand. The one that I got, sort of fully optioned out XLT was around 30. But then you take off my trade of the car. So again, I looked at it as it's not going to cost me much money out of pocket. Once I trade the car in, I get rid of a car that's not very practical, that's not very fast, that I don't really use a lot, and I get a brand new car with 0 miles on it, right, that has a few more features, and I could take overlanding on the lighter, like Hoosier National Forest trips. So again, the Frontier's not going away. There's still going to be tons and tons of Frontier Nissan content, but then in addition to that, I'm going to sort of split it between the two and start doing additional content on the Maverick. So tons and tons of cool stuff to come. So if you're new, to the channel and you are into Mavericks, welcome. If you are a Nissan person, Nissan stuff's not going away either. If you want to see the extreme crazy build, cool, it's here. If you want to see the more soft rotor, like, slightly modified stock truck build, that's here too. So I'm super excited to bring you both of those types of content this year. Of course, I do have some upgrades. I bought the XLT. I've heard that the audio system is not that great, so I'll probably be doing some, how to replace speakers, how to add a subwoofer, just basic sort of stuff to, sort of improve the user experience of the vehicle and sort of overcome some of these, shortfalls that may be part of the trim level that I selected. And then, of course, as you've seen over the last couple of years, more, once a week podcast about just general overlanding stuff, talking about how to get out, talking about how to stay warm in the winter, anything and everything to do with overlanding. I'm going to keep providing that sort of feedback. As I learn stuff about the Maverick and sort of this soft-roading lifestyle, I'm sure that I will have some tips and tricks that will come out of that I can sort of pass on to you guys. So tons and tons of content coming there from the podcast standpoint. It just keeps growing. And again, thank you guys for watching and listening. It's awesome. And it's just keeps growing. So I'm super excited to do more episodes of that for you. And then, of course, more gear reviews, more tips and tricks, more trip videos. I'm really trying to turn this into a thing where I can do this more and more for you guys. I've started to get some funny comments from people saying, you'll review anything. But, as you guys know, I'm a weekend warrior type. I have a family. I have a job. I wish that I could go on epic, crazy overlanding trips every weekend or, for multiple weeks at a time. I just can't. So, in the meantime, when I'm here, I'm buying stuff on Amazon. I am getting new chainsaws. I'm getting new, flashlights. I'm getting new gear all the time, new battery packs, new fridges, all kinds of stuff, right? I'm constantly looking at that stuff and trying to optimize my setup and trying to find ways. Now I'm going to be outfitting 2 trucks. So again, I'm going to be buying different types of gear and trying different types of gear. And so I want to give you guys my honest feedback about that stuff and tell you if it's good or not, right? So there will definitely still be some gear reviews and stuff coming out every week. So stay tuned for that as well. Again, I do feel like I'm trying really hard to constantly improve the quality of the video content, improve the quality of the audio content on the podcast. So I cherish the feedback that you guys give me. It really is helpful when you're constructive about it and you guys say, hey, this sucked or this was good or I appreciate this helped me. That stuff's great. If you guys like the videos, if you're on YouTube and you like the videos, click that like button. That really does help. It tells YouTube, hey, this guy has good content. Show them to more people, right? So if you get some value from something, I really appreciate it if you click that like button. If you're not already subscribed, make sure to click the subscribe button, the bell to be notified when new videos drop. I do, like I said, weekly podcast / vlog. I'm probably gonna be up to 2 or 3 videos a week. I mean, honestly, with the Maverick stuff coming in, a gear review, I try to chunk this stuff out for you guys. I try to sit down and like really be dedicated to it and, record as much as I possibly can and shoot as much as I can and get the information out there for you guys. So, but post up in the comments and tell me, what do you want to see? What type of gear do you want to see? And again, if it aligns with like my builds, then, I'm happy to check that stuff out. So again, thanks for watching this. If you're on YouTube, thanks for listening. If you're on the podcast, I'm so excited about this year. It's season 4 because I started season 1 in like August, September, 3 years and a few months ago. So I've really only had like 3, this will be the 3rd full season. But technically I'm just doing seasons from January to December, right? So technically we're in the 4th season, but it's really the 3rd full season. But so it's just so much stuff coming this year, so many relationships being built with, people at expos, people that run expos, vendors, other overlanders. So like there's just so much cool stuff. Again, thanks to you guys for listening. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned for some really cool stuff. There's going to be a ton of good content coming this year and constant improvement. So thanks again, and we'll see you guys next time.